Dear precious and heavenly Father, we come before you and we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to be able to meet and try to make good decisions for our people, Lord. We ask that you would lead and guide and direct us. Please bless this meeting and bless each and every person here. And we thank you for everything, and we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Yes, sir.
Here.
Yes, sir.
Here.
Bill England. Keith Austin.
Sure.
Carter Bezer.
Here.
Joe Bird. Sean Crittenden.
Honey.
Mike Dobbin.
Here.
Aaron Duncan. Wanda Hatfield.
Here.
Nick Lay.
Here.
Mike Shambo.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw. Janine Staley. Here. Victoria Nisquez. David Walkenstead.
Honey.
Brian Warner.
Honey.
We have a quorum.
Need approval of the minutes for February the 18th meeting.
So moved.
Motion and second, I'll approve. Say aye. Moving down to reports, management resources, David Moore.
Good afternoon. I have our report. I'm here to answer any questions that I can, so.
Any questions for David? Sean?
Hey, Dave. And we've been knowing each other quite a while, and I believe I know your heart, man. And it's you know, I believe you believe like I do that we're all here for them folks.
Yes.
And you know, we've had that conversation where I'm not doubting you one bit. You've got a job to do, and you do it within the means that you can do it. And but we talked about this last meeting about the wood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got some good boys over at Delonaghy, and they're willing and able, and they're got a heart like ours,
I know.
and they just can't haul it to an elder in need. And the Mr. Stretch, he was able to help me out on that deal, and I appreciate him. But then I got to hearing about the people who were needing their garden plowed that I guess we've done for a while.
Mhm.
And you know, that goes back to health and food and all kinds of things. And we just, like I said in my email that you knew wasn't directed at you, to me, that's simply the wrong direction. And where do we go from here? And my question is I don't want to put you on the spot here,
I understand.
but now who asked that? Was it?
We just tried to find a legal way to do it. In our budget, our narrative, the programs, the funding, we gotta make sure we do everything legal. We don't want to jeopardize our funding for anything.
But
So if
you
we
didn't make the call
No,
not to do it,
no,
right?
But I can tell you, everybody in that room that was trying to figure a way to do it legally wanted to do it. I can honestly say that. Everybody wants to do it. We just gotta get our heads together and figure a way out to do it.
Was it administration that just said you can't do it?
They were the ones that we were meeting with that wanted to do it. I can tell you
Now,
that.
who just said don't do it?
The budget narrative pretty much said we couldn't do it. It wasn't any one person saying you
Now,
cannot
where-
do
Did
this.
it say it in the past?
Well, in the past,
I mean, same type
it's
budget.
almost the same wording, but it doesn't say
Now,
in
who
the
jumped-
narrative part.
Who
It
jumped
doesn't
up and
say.
said, you know, they were doing it last year because I was getting people to haul some wood in the garden.
They weren't doing it
So who?
right then, I guess is.
Well-
I mean, I don't want to say, just like you, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but it's been interpreted that it hasn't been done right in the past because there's not been a budget funding for that purpose. Natural resources budgets are to protect our lands and our resources and manage them. That's all it's for.
Now, what's a buffalo? Is that a land or a resource?
It's a resource, I
mean, what are we-
suppose, but
what
there's
are-
funding for that.
Now, a resource we usually get something out of.
Yeah.
Now, I respect the culture. Don't anybody doubt that. I like buffalo as well as the next guy. But you know, just my premise, and like I said, I'm not blaming you.
I know.
And it'd be interesting to know whoever jumped up this time instead of the last few years when we were doing it. It'd be interesting to know if they had enough red oak on the porch, or if they had their garden plowed.
Well,
That's what I'd really,
yeah.
it'd kind of be interesting, but I don't say it right here.
The wood deal, we've got a pretty good deal going. It's not perfect yet, but at least we figured that
Yeah.
out. I mean, we have, and like I said, Kevin Stretch
Yeah,
stepped
yeah,
up,
yeah, yeah.
and so we're getting the wood to him, and he's getting it out to the elders and people that need it.
I just didn't understand on that deal. I mean, we got it done, and I thanked him for
Right.
it.
Yeah,
You know,
oh,
but-
me too.
But I think he drove from here
And we're helping him on that too, now.
to Lonaghy,
Yeah.
brought a whole crew out spending money, and then delivered it to, you know,
Well,
Just
we've
somewhere
actually
real
brought
close.
some here to the complex, and so we can take it from here now. So they're not having to drive all the way over here to go next door, more or less.
all right. And there was a pretty good old boy, if we need to do this, you know, the budget narrative, he's a pretty good old guy, brought that to my attention. And we, you know, just, it was in the email thread, but that may be one of our outlets for like the garden
I
thing.
mean, I can honestly say everybody in that room did not want to say no.
Right.
We gotta be careful what we do. That's all I can say is, you know,
Few
gotta
bad
do the
apples,
right thing.
few bad apples again.
Briefly, and I was not in that room.
Yeah,
I heard
she
about this
was
after the
not.
fact, so I would take the blame for it if it was me. But very briefly, the issue is for this group and those guys that are cutting that wood. When they cut it, they're on Cherokee Nation property, so they can cut it on Cherokee Nation property. They can put it in Cherokee Nation truck. They can pile it up in a Cherokee Nation building.
I like
They
it
are
so
not authorized to take either Cherokee Nation equipment or themselves as employees to go out on non-Cherokee property to do work. We have groups that do that, right? Housing Rehab, Housing Authority, there's some community services folks. These guys weren't. They had been doing it, and it came to someone's attention, lots of folks' attention, that really wasn't how those people and those dollars were supposed to be spent. So they have to stay within what the funding source that says they can do it, what their budget is, what their job description. So it's not that they don't want to help. It is,
So we just need to get them some more money.
well, it's not just more money. It is they need a job
Program.
description and a position and a program that says you can go out and do X. Because the problem was, if you're at their Cherokee Nation dollars and Cherokee Nation equipment, even if we're doing it for the best intentions in the world, if you're sending our people and our resources out to do something that's not what that's designed to
Oak
do,
Ridge, Salad, somewhere.
any of it.
Yeah.
So it was, again, they're all well intentioned
Oh, yeah,
and they want to
they really
help, and
wanna
they
help.
probably were heartbroken when
Well,
they were told they
I just
couldn't,
see
but
different departments, you know, like we fly, I'm sure when we go out to these other places, I'm sure we're hauling some kind of Cherokee Nation equipment with us on those planes sometimes. So I'm not seeing the difference
and
where
some
we
of
can't
those-
haul a truck to deliver some wood to someone who needs
And
it,
it's
but
all-
we can haul a whole bunch of things to Florida.
But
You
it's
know, I
all
don't-
about what those, I know you guys get them, they're this tall, you get them every year with the budget narratives and
Well,
then every
so
line
it does come
item.
down to budget, just a
Mostly
job, just
funding.
money to have it, and just say, hey, this
And
department
see,
can do
just
it.
like the tilling, even if we had a guy that could do it, that tractor wasn't bought with the right funds that we can go out and do that with too. So there's more to it than just a warm body. I mean, there's a lot of,
I know what you're saying, I
yeah.
just, you know, being here, you see lots and lots and lots of things and money spent, in my opinion, on less important things than heating somebody's house, and if they want a garden, go out there and do it. But like I said, I think you know where I'm coming from. And,
Yes, sir.
So thank you, that's all, I think that's as far as we're gonna get.
I'll touch on something similar to what Counselor touched on here. I think if we say we're the largest tribe in the United States, the Navajos would argue that, because I don't argue that on a national level. But my point, we are probably the most sophisticated tribe in the United States and the most progressive. And we have this billion-dollar economy that we contribute to. Surely the heads of Cherokee Nation government can figure out a way how we can help our basic needs of our people, which is gardening, self-sufficient, sovereignty of our people, to just help them where they can feed themselves. and take care of themselves. I know about equipment, tribal equipment, how we write our grants and what we input in the grants. But surely our executive directors, whether it's community services, natural resources, housing authority, whomever wants to get involved, can figure out a solution how we can till 35 gardens. You think, I mean, Cherokee, you think we should be able to figure that out? If we can't, why don't we go find a smaller tribe that might have the sophistication, know-how, and say, how do you guys till your tribal members' gardens here? We should be able to figure that out. If the narrative was not correct last time, if it was too broad, too vague, why don't we clarify that narrative? Because most of those people that want gardens, I know most of them are kinfolks back home. That's some of the basic needs that they have. And with the revenue that we have at Cherokee Nation, we would really be doing our people a disservice if we cannot figure out how to till a garden for some of our people. And you guys had a meeting.
Yep.
Let's see how our brain trust is going to be here at the tribe. If we can write all these $1 million grants and we can figure out how to do all these compacts, state of Oklahoma, surely we can figure out an answer how we can do these gardens. Think so?
I hope so.
And if you have a legal question, we got the lady sitting right there. I'll draft it up. Said, all right, you're legal, you're not legal.
Yeah.
Council, we may need another $20,000. Because I think it was $800 to till 33 gardens.
That's what we got, that's what we received, yeah. I
And
think
most
they
of those
charged
gardens, I would
25.
say, if you were going to do assessment, are Adair County and Sequoia County. I doubt if there were any in Dallas that we tilled. I doubt if there's any in Bartlesville. I mean, I don't think we probably had any in Cherokee County.
I can't tell you. I
These
didn't
probably
look for that.
rural, traditional people that's had a garden all their lives. And I'm not saying go create a bunch of gardens for people. If you don't have one by now, we don't need to till you another garden. You should have grandsons or somebody that can till the garden. But if I have to, I'll go back and till my family's garden. But if we can't, then we'll figure something else out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Todd, you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna respond to the speaker's comments. Challenge accepted. David will attest that he and I have bugged one another early in the morning, kept one another up late at night, of coming up with solutions and alternatives to try and make this happen, from volunteers to all sorts of different ways to try and attack it. So I accept your challenge, and I'll see what we can come back with.
Appreciate you. And I know you guys are taking, you guys take your directives too from other people. I am aware of that.
Yeah.
And we got to stay in compliance.
Right.
Be aware of that too, okay? Appreciate you, what
Thank
you do though, okay?
Thank you.
In the natural resources, what percentage of your budget is generated off of property that's being leased out?
That would be a question for Ginger. I mean, I can't answer.
Ginger, what's the ballpark? What's the ballpark of revenue we generate off of our leased properties?
Approximately $750,000.
750,000.
It deposited into their account off the leases.
Okay, and is that discretionary money?
That's just from leases that are,
But is that attached to any type of federal money?
I think this goes into a 322 account, so probably self-governance money.
Okay, so it's discretionary. Okay, so we can, no. Todd, explain, please.
Mostly discretionary, however, there would be some limitations to that because of self-government funding. It's got to be reinvested back into the property that we maintain. So that
Has to go
self-government
back into the property we maintain.
funding- Yeah, so Cherokee Nation property, so you couldn't take that and then turn around and disperse
So
it somewhere else.
so where the money was generated from off of that exact property has to go back into that exact property.
Reinvesting into that property.
Has that been going on over the last few years?
And I'm saying this based on my personal knowledge. I would like to confer and speak with the treasurer to make sure that I'm speaking correctly, but that is my understanding, that any revenues generated off of that through self-governance compacting really should be reinvested back into Cherokee Nation property for expansion, maintenance.
But when you say Cherokee Nation property, you're saying a broad. When you say Cherokee Nation property, you're saying a broad statement. We're talking about the 750,000 that's generated off of the X amount of acres that we're leasing lanes off of, you're saying that money has to go back into that X amount of acres that that land was generated from. So when you say Cherokee Nation property, that's a big, broad area. Have we been using the 750,000 over the last few years to go back into those lands, those X amount of lands?
I see my financial expert.
Okay, yes, sir.
We're spending all that money plus general fund money, so,
To go back into those lands?
yeah,
Okay. Is that, I guess that's Buffalo Ranch and,
right.
Everything. We got a
A
grant.
good portion of David's budget is actually general fund dollars. All of our lease money coming in, so.
okay. So are we, but we're not leasing a Buffalo Ranch, like that's our own land, so
Right.
we're not making money off the Buffalo Ranch.
Correct, but he
So-
has,
We have a grant
his,
for that too.
right, I mean, but his budget is X number of dollars, and a portion of it is the lease revenue, and then general fund has to pay the rest of it. So-
Okay, gotcha.
It's all lumped in together.
Right, it's all one budget, but
I gotcha,
He-
but the percentage is going back to the leased land and then,
we have
then
to
we're
supplement
paying-
it.
We're supplementing with the Buffalo Ranch. The tribe's supplementing with the Buffalo Ranch.
Well, with general fund dollars.
General fund dollars,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Well, so I guess my point was, is with, Joe said it best, but, you know, if we need to put some discretionary money into tilling some gardens or putting wood on the porch, you know, let's do that, you know, because I think that's a basic necessity for our folks.
And I don't know if we have to set up a new program for that or what, but we'll get with legal and everybody else and try to figure out a way to do this. I mean, we tried to do it real quick the other day and it didn't happen, but
Yeah.
we haven't quit, I can tell you all that. Think about it every day and
We'll
every
all
night.
We'll all be legally well-rounded when all is said and
Yeah.
done. So,
And-
thank you.
and-
Thank you, Chair.
We want to do the gardens and the wood and stuff for the people. I mean, Sean knows how the guys are.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're the ones saying it.
they want to help.
They're the ones saying there's
And-
time and
yeah.
they're willing. and
They are.
That's their families and friends.
Yeah.
I think you just answered my question. I was basically going to say, well, who's going to be responsible for doing this to come up with the language, the change the language or whatever? So I guess you just
Yeah.
answered that.
Yeah, we'll stay
So
on it till we get something
It'll
done.
basically be all on your shoulders then.
Gee, thanks.
All right. And I guess just a side comment would be, you know, I know at the J Food Distribution Center, we have a garden there that they take care of, and it's an awesome garden. I mean, you know, you drive by it and there's all kind of vegetables out there, and it's just, you know, and I assume that they go back into our food distribution, or people come in and get
They
them.
come in and get,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's an awesome deal, because,
Yeah.
boy, they do a good job. That looks so good.
That's one guy.
I know, I drive by
He
there
works
and I'm
at it.
thinking, boy, I'd like to have some of those tomatoes, you know, they're good looking tomatoes.
Well, I'm sure you can
I'm
stop
sure
there and
that-
get some.
Yeah, well, better not. But I think that, you know, we do have good people who can garden, you know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's already been proven we can do it, and I have confidence you all we'll get that done.
Stay on
And
it.
it is an important thing. You know, I get calls about the wood too, and, you know, whenever, just like some things that have been fixed here lately, Gary did a great job, and I'll tell him later, but, you know, to hear those people when they say thank you for the wood,
Oh,
or
yeah.
thank you for, and their voices crack, I mean, that's just it's a wonderful deal. It, you know, it makes everything good to be a councilman that day when those things happen. So, yeah, we are very appreciative of you guys and what you're trying to do, and it is it's beneficial for our people. It really is. We have confidence in you.
We're going to try our best to get there, I can promise you that.
That's it.
When we were doing the gardens, were we charging $25 a garden?
Yep.
You know, if we run this through council, there wouldn't be nobody voting no, we'd all be for that.
Oh, I'm sure well, that's what I say, I have to get with legal, we'll have to, I don't know if it's creating a new program or what, but we'll get something, and, we'll stay on it until we get an answer.
I bet we'd do more than 33 too, if we could get it.
I think they've done more in the past. Right now, I can't get my hands still on files and stuff of past stuff, so it's hard for us a lot of times, so, I've heard there've been more than that. I just know last year there was 32, I think. So we'll get there, I promise you.
to comment on that, and David said a few time program, and I know you guys understand this, but you know, we can't just say, okay, we're going to till gardens for $25 because we're going to have 700 people call. Some people are going to be mad because those people don't really need us to come till their garden and they have their own tractor. The same thing with wood. If we just say, if you call us, you get a rick of wood, you're going to have people turn around selling that rick of wood. So when we start doing this stuff, we have to have, okay, are we doing income guidelines? Are we doing geographic guidelines? Are we, is it first come, first serve, or is it some kind of, you know, lottery system? And so those are all the types of, you know, this is what he has to think about when he's, okay, when you, Speaker Byrd, I understand that we want to till gardens, but if we just say, all right, y'all, we're tilling gardens, you know.
I really don't want to till gardens.
And I know you all know this because you deal with all of these programs, but that's the kind of back work that goes into that when you all ask a program to do something. Can you go till this guy's garden? Well, of course we can, but if we just do it, first of all, we may not be, you know, spending the right money or going to the right place, but if we also just say, all right, we're going to start a program tilling gardens. You know, again, if we're going to do 700 of them, are we going to buy 2 new tractors and hire 4-time people, or are we going to contract with someone? And the only reason I say that is this is not an automatic overnight decision. We're probably not going to come back next month and say, all right, here's our garden tilling program, because anytime we spend money or anytime we offer services, these are all of the background things that have to go into setting that up. And you guys get frustrated because you ask us to do something and then we're back a month later and we haven't done it. And again, I know y'all know that because you deal with those things all the time and you ask us questions about the qualifications and everything else. But I only want to say that because if we're back in 3 weeks and we haven't got any gardens tilled and you guys are all mad at us and you want to know why, that's why. So we are working on this stuff, but it's a process.
Okay, Harley?
I think as far as the dollars go to fund a program like that, I don't think there's any problem getting those dollars, because interest dollars that the Cherokee Nation makes is in the millions, and those interest dollars are funds that can be used almost what do you want to use it for. But I had another question. I want to switch gears here about the pine trees. I'm worried about the pine trees. I know probably 6 months ago we were getting a contract or going to have somebody go in and do it. Are we working on it? Are we doing anything?
We actually had a meeting today right before this, and I had to walk away from it to come to this, but we're trying to get, that's another one of those deals that I wasn't privy to any files or anything, just what I've heard and stuff. So we've contacted these people, and we're going through the processes to try to get something done there too.
So we are moving.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's all I have.
John, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear that I'm not, anybody listening, I wasn't trying to start a new department, believe me. I would start a department that had a bunch of plumbers. When I've got an elder needed some little plumbing thing, that I wouldn't have to go through what I have to go through. If we're gonna start new things, we gotta have plumbers. I mean, go. You know, just, but this I wasn't wanting to start. It's just
Right.
what hit me wrong was we've been doing it and stopped it, and it wasn't advertised. Maybe it should have been, but when there was a need, we did it. And so I just didn't want anybody thinking I was trying to start some harebrained thing.
No. I think there's a need, just like Speaker Byrd said, and you too. I mean, there's a need for helping our elders. We just gotta figure out the right way to do it, so Shannon Poole doesn't come knocking on our doors.
You betcha, I understand. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a question. What's our motel?
What is it? It's the old motel over here behind the restaurant of Cherokee's.
Okay, you know, perhaps council, when we rename our health facility, we should name our motel, you know, something like the Cherokee Nation Office Complex. Because I'm sitting here, I'm asking Counselor here right by Warner, do we own a motel? Because I didn't know it.
I think they
I'm
actually
just
have a
saying,
name
years
for
from
it.
now, when people look back at these records, it's going to say we have a motel and we don't. Next question, where's the Quonset hut?
It's up here on the hill. Taro's up there right now.
Below the casino.
Yeah,
Okay.
right above the casino up there.
And then I noticed you replaced 6 heaters. Were those wall heaters or those plug-in or what?
Does it say where? By any chance?
In the motel?
Those would be those, the old motel?
Yeah.
Those are those kind of motel units, you know, they're
Okay.
dual packs, heat and air. They, kind of like a window unit, but they But yeah, that's the old motel.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I will find the name out. I actually think it may have a name, but I'm not positive.
Which
I
one,
just-
the motel or the Quonset hut?
The motel.
Both, yeah.
I think that's just all I've ever heard since I've been here at the nation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I think it was Jolly Gee Motel.
I think so,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I'll check. I'll try to have
Well, we're
it.
going back in the time here.
Any other questions?
Good report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good job. Next up, Real Estate Services, Ginger Brown Reeves. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think you have your report in front of you. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions for Ginger?
I just want to thank Ginger and her crew for helping us to get the old Sam Hyder Clinic in Jay. Hopefully we get it to get some people in there that'll make good use of that old clinic building. So Ginger, I want to thank you for doing that.
It took a lot of
And if you don't
effort.
mind, just give them a little short update of what we're doing.
It took a lot of effort from different departments, and Grand Lake Mental Health is in the process of, we're talking to them about leasing it, and that's where we are right now. We're in negotiations. So that's, and actually we've talked to them for about 2 years, and I know Councilor Shambaugh has been involved and probably attended some of the meetings that was held at the city. We had to get the title perfected before we were able to do that. And we got that accomplished and went through the city council to make sure that they signed all of the necessary documents and including the quitclaim deed to take some reversionary clauses off of that we had on there. And we're negotiating a lease for them right now.
And what that means for Delaware County and Jay is probably 32, 33 jobs. So it makes a lot of difference in a little town where I'm coming from. So thank you, Ginger.
You're welcome. I might say the career services and other departments had a lot of input in that as well.
Any other questions? Ginger's good. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got 2 names.
Yes, sir.
The old motel is the Cherokee Annex, and the Quonset hut is Sequoia 5B.
There you go. Next up, environmental programs, Mr. Tom Elkins.
Good afternoon, sir. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, goodness. But good for Ginger again. I'm hoping it'll go just as good for me. You have our report. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I will say, Councilman Warner said we're trying to keep it green, so there we are. Not the water, just everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Tom, thank you. Hi. Tom, it says here that the staff is researching labs that have the ability to test for opiates in the surface water.
Yeah.
Is that a problem? Do they anticipate that to be a problem here? And how much is it a problem with other surrounding areas?
I don't think that in and of itself is a huge deal. I'm not saying it's not a deal, but there are a lot of things in water, ambient water, just water out in the creeks and all, that we don't test for. There's a lot more stringent testing for drinking water, obviously, and we still don't test for a lot of things in drinking water just because it's cost prohibitive. If we did that across the EPA doesn't force people to do, the entities that do that, because they couldn't afford it. I mean, we don't, this is my opinion, we don't value our water like we should. Almost every other country, developed country, puts more money into their water or values it in the treatment and things like that, the testing and all. The next big thing the EPA is looking at is not opiates and not drugs like that, but what they call endocrine disrupting chemicals that mess with your blood sugar levels and other endocrine system. And there are a lot of things in the water that just surface water contact can disrupt that a little bit. We don't know the extent of that because we don't test all those waters. That's just something we're looking into because somebody asked some questions. And, you know, people say, well, can you test for that? You can test for anything. if you have enough money and you know how and where to do it. Yeah, we can test for anything and find out. Now, do we know exactly, are there health standards for that contaminant? Most of them, no.
No, but if you saw an increase in it, you would want to
It
work
might
with our
trigger
public
something
health.
else to look. Yes, ma'am, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Appreciate
Certainly,
it.
certainly.
Any other questions for Tom?
Good night.
You done a good job.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Secretary of Natural Resources, Sarah Hill.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Sarah Hill had a meeting in Oklahoma City, and she's running a little bit late, so I'm going to give the high points of the report. But one of the things you guys may have noticed is that we had our Nissan Ride and Drive event earlier this month. We had over 30. It was very well attended, and we've had over 30 folks call to see how they could take advantage of a rebate system that we have in place that's available to Cherokee citizens across the country. So we've had a lot of interest in that program, and it highlights our continuing process of implementing EV infrastructure within the Cherokee Nation, and also our commitment to EV vehicles. So it's been a hit. We've submitted an additional funding request to the Volkswagen Mitigation Trust for additional funding to add to our EV infrastructure. We were awarded under the first award, and I think we are trying to determine exactly what that number is going to be and how we're going to implement that into our overall strategic plan. So we're happy about that. On poultry, this is an issue that you guys are mostly familiar with, but since we met last time, there was rules that were being reviewed by the Oklahoma Department of Food and Forestry. We had submitted a pretty lengthy comment requesting that we take a look at some more stringent setbacks, and unfortunately we did not get what we requested. I think the version that passed is a 500-foot setback from residences for facilities that have less than 150,000 birds, and then a 1,000-foot setback for those facilities that have more than 100,000 birds. There were two legislative measures, one in the Senate and one in the House of Representatives for the state of Oklahoma. The one in the House did not make it out of committee. The one in the Senate, I'm not sure if it has made it out of committee, but I think the general consensus is that it's not going to. So we're reevaluating kind of our approach to this in light of those legislative measures failing. And we are also continuing to engage the Secretary of Energy Environment, Ken Wagner, and the Department of Agriculture Secretary, Blaine Arthur. So we are diligently moving forward to kind of put together our next steps on that particular issue. It is a complicated regulatory framework, and so we're definitely moving forward in that regard. So if there's any other questions, certainly take them.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Do we know if they're going to continue the coalition, the poultry coalition?
The Coordinating Council on Poultry Growth? We hope so. So the Secretary of Natural Resources is a co-chair with the Secretary of Agriculture. And so she's recently been appointed by the state administration. And I think her immediate reaction to that was that she wanted to get a better handle on this issue. And so we have invited her out to come and visit with us and perhaps take a look at some of these communities that are being impacted. And we certainly hope and are pushing for that. But she is the co-chair, so we have to work with her in a consensus-building way to schedule that next meeting. And I know that's something that's very important to Secretary Hill, and she's pushing that. So hopefully we'll have a little bit more of an update on that particular meeting, if and when it will be scheduled next month.
Well, I hope maybe in the future, which, I've kind of gave my 2 cents about the last, council meeting, what I thought the chances were that stuff passing, which I thought was about nil.
Right.
I think we're going to have to maybe start looking outside the box a little bit for things, and it's diplomacy is the best policy when it works, but if it doesn't, then we're going to have to look to protect our people, and if we can't protect, so much what's already happened, maybe we can prevent in some of the other areas where it's not started yet. Maybe we can help those. We can use this to help those people protect their citizens.
Right, and I think, and we're certainly looking at revising our strategy forward in light of these legislative changes. It is a very complicated issue, and It's certainly one of our top priorities that we work. We expend a lot of resources and spend a lot of time trying to find the best approach to get the results that we need for these communities, particularly the ones that have been impacted the most, while also being diplomatic and maintaining a cohesive course forward.
And I do want to thank you all, because I know you have done a ton of work on this. I know you have. I mean, I've watched you, and you've done all you can, but there comes a point in time where you kind of have to shift gears and kind of come up with something else. And I have all the confidence in the world you guys are going to do that. So just keep us informed.
Absolutely. Thank you.
John?
I'm good, thank you.
Sean, do you have a question?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Dave.
Go ahead, David.
Thanks, sir. I visited with some Simmons folks, and they said they're done building chicken houses in Oklahoma. And now they're expanding to other states to build chicken houses. So,
Okay.
it sounds like the damage is already done, and that's what I heard. I can talk to you after this.
Yeah, I can show you pictures.
I think
Well, I understand they're still building them, but there's no plans to build any new ones.
it's my understanding that I've heard from other folks that statement has been made. I don't know, how reliable that statement is. I know that, there's been significant development over particularly the last 18 months, and so I can't speak definitively if that's accurate or not. I do know that the moratorium is currently still in place for at least some time. It's hard to say whether or not, and Simmons isn't the only.
Yeah, exactly.
The only company that's building there.
And it's just Simmons only. There could be other plants come or other houses come in and build in the same area. So, but as far as Simmons goes, they said they're going to start going into Missouri and Kansas and Arkansas and those areas. Not Arkansas, but Missouri.
I can't speak definitively to that. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Simmons. I mean, there are other producers or integrators that participate in development that are more responsible than others, and I can't speak to what Simmons plans to do in the future, but I have heard from other people something similar to that effect.
But regardless, like I said, damage is already done, so it's irrelevant if they're done or not. So, all right, thank you. That's all I have. Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
A motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah,
We are adjourned.